Robbie, can you hear my mic okay? We okay with the live stream? Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time in coming down today for what is a very, very special day for Rotolight. Thank you also to all of you on the live stream tuning in. We're live streaming this across the world right now to Jason Lanier's millions of followers. So if you submit any questions to the live stream, please put your name, location and comment, and we'll endeavor to address that at the end if we haven't already covered it. So for those of you not familiar with who Rotolight are, we are a family business based here at Pinewood Studios, and we specialize in making award-winning, highly innovative products for photographers and filmmakers. And indeed, this year is a special year for us. It's our 10th anniversary, and so to mark our 10th anniversary, we really wanted to have a very, very exciting new product launch, which we have for you today. A bit of context about Rotolight. We're known in the industry for being a very innovative business. In fact, in 2010, we were the world's first Wi-Fi controllable light for photography and for video. We then followed that up with the world's first built-in display of color temperature, which is now a standard across the LED industry. Having the color temperature display allows you to match your ambient white balance and achieve a beautiful looking shot. We introduced cinematic special effects into the lights, things like fire, lightning, television, so that for filmmakers or cinematographers shooting a feature film, no longer did they have to get an expensive flicker box or spend hours setting it up. It was built there right into the light. This year we announced with EOS, one of the world's thinnest, most portable lights that is both a continuous LED light but also a high-speed sync flash. And that's the first time that's ever been done. And for photographers, what that really means is it eliminates the need for two separate purchases if you shoot both stills and video. And it brings the best of both, the shoot what you see philosophy with the power of flash. And today is also a very special day in the history of innovation for Rotolight with a really, really remarkable new product. So what I wanted to do is just overview briefly what does the current on-camera market look like today? What are the options available to you as a photographer or if you shoot video? Well, on the one hand, you have continuous LED lights. Now, continuous LED lights have the advantage that they allow you to shoot what you see. Often with flash, you have to guess after the fact. You have a trial and error approach. You're filling up your memory card with shots you're never going to keep, which adds time to your workflow ultimately. You're able to achieve an optimal focus and exposure. You know, if you're working in low light situations, it can be very difficult to achieve focus with a flash, almost impossible. And the ability to vary color temperature. Now that's also really critical because if you're working in ambient lighting conditions where you're changing from, let's say you're going from indoors to outdoors, you may have a very different color temperature, and being able to match to that color or take advantage of a beautiful sunset warm orange light is really important. But what are the downsides of continuous light? Well, firstly, they're not as bright as flash. And so still there are applications at the moment where you need that extra power. There's a lack of wireless control. So often with flash you can wirelessly trigger them, but typically with LED lights you need to physically adjust them from the back of the light, which is not always particularly convenient. And often with some of the tends to be Chinese product, there can be an issue with color accuracy, particularly a green hue or slightly magenta, which ultimately again means more time spent in Lightroom or Photoshop trying to correct the color. On the other side of the market, the flash and speedlight market, you have the clear advantage that they're more powerful. But in our view, there are a lot of downsides. And those downsides are that, number one, long recycle times. A typical speedlight would have a recycle time of somewhere between 3 to 4 seconds. Now, most of you in the room here are familiar with recycle time, but for those watching on the live stream, recycle time is simply the time between your first flash and the time it takes to charge up to give you another burst. Now, in a practical scenario, let's say you're shooting a wedding. You have a bride and groom at the end of the altar. With a typical speedlight, I take one shot, but perhaps the bride blinked, or the groom was pulling a face in the nervous moment he has coming in front of him. You can't recreate that shot. And I've got to wait as a photographer 4 seconds before I can take another photograph. Now, all of you are very familiar with the latest Sony A9. Sony are here today. The A9 can shoot 20 frames a second. So a typical speed light would only be able to shoot 2 or 3 times, whereas the Rotolight EOS or our continuous lights could shoot 80 to 100 times in the space of 4 or 5 seconds, meaning that every single time the flash fired and every single time you can use that shot. It gives you so many more options. With a speed light and flash, you can't preview the end result. Sometimes you may have a modeling light built in, but often it's very, very weak and really not representative of the actual light. It's never the same color temperature. It's never the same beam angle. The other issue with typical speed lights is consistency and reliability. I'm sure all of the photographers watching will recognize this one, that you press the shutter and you really don't know what the flash is going to do, and you can't be sure that it's going to go off. And when you're on a professional shoot, that's just not acceptable. You may miss that shot and you can never ever get it back. You can't electronically change the color, if at all. If you want to change color on flash, you've got to use a filter. A filter significantly cuts light output, often by 40 or 50%. And the filter is a fixed color. It doesn't give me any option to tweak that to my circumstance. It is a defined fixed color. The other big obvious one is you can't use a flash for video. Now, you'd be hard pressed nowadays to find a camera that doesn't include at least HD video, but certainly typically 4K. Even indeed the new iPhone's likely to have 4K. So having a light that can do both, if you have an interest in both stills and video, is really, really critical. And so what that means really is someone today, if they want to shoot stills and video, has to buy 2 separate products. They have to buy a continuous LED light for the video and a speed light for flash. But fundamentally at Rotolight, we think there is a better way, which is what we're going to be announcing today. So what is Rotolight's current on-camera product offering? Well, for those of you, who are watching on the live stream, our Rotolight Neo, which you can see here, has been an incredibly popular light. It's a brilliant light, extremely portable, very lightweight, adjustable color, built-in Kelvin display, runs on 6 AA batteries, and being circular, it gives you a gorgeous catch light, soft light source. And indeed, if you have a look on here on the screen, I'm showing a screenshot of B&H Photo. They're the world's largest camera store, $1 billion camera store. Rotolight Neo, as you can see there with the yellow icon, is the #1 best-selling on-camera light on their website. So it's been very popular. Look at the customer reviews also. But at Rotolight, we always take the view that everything can be improved. And we really wanted to take our time over this one and make sure we got it right. We didn't want an incremental change. We wanted this to be a revolution, not an evolution. And as a result, we also asked our customers to give us feedback on what they would like to see in a new light. And this was reflective of the general comments that we were getting. I really like how compact Neo is and its features. The only thing I'm missing is more power. Make Neo high-speed sync and more powerful. I want a Neo that can flash. Well, I'm very pleased to say that we've done it. But not only have we done it in a way that's incredibly innovative, and I'm going to show you now. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Neo 2, which is a revolutionary on-camera and continuous LED light with inbuilt high-speed sync capable flash. If we could kill the lights. Thank you.
The Neo 2 is going to revolutionize how people use lights, especially small lights. There's no light loss, there's no power loss. It fires every time. you have those moments that you cannot miss, this is an incredible light for you.
So that's a really nice taster and overview of the Neo 2. But let me give you a overview of some of the key features inside a Neo 2. So the first thing is, who is Neo 2 for? Well, it's designed specifically for those shooting portraits primarily. We know from Neo 1 over 60% of Neo 1 customers are portrait photographers. But also it's great for location, for things like macro, for weddings, events, and also for filmmakers with its built-in special effects. Great for interviews as well. Now, with Neo 2, it is the world's first continuous LED light and high-speed sync flash. That has never been done. And that eliminates the need for two separate purchases. It's up to 500% brighter in flash mode. So you're going to see in a second, Neo 2 is already an incredibly bright light source. But with the 500% power, it means that moment where you need more power, if you're working outdoors and you need some fill, you want to shoot at a wider aperture than you would otherwise be able to for better isolation from the background, it gives you that option. Now I should say it's 500% on power supply or using a Rotolight V-mount battery. So if you own an EOS or an Nova Pro, you can use that same battery to power your Neo. It's 250% brighter on AA batteries, but that's still an incredible increase in output. Now, the other thing with Neo 2 also is that not only is it high-speed sync capable, but it's capable of a sync speed of 1/8,000th of a second. There are tons of speedlights in the market that just can't do that, period. But it does it with no recycle time. And it's really worth emphasizing that, no recycle time. I'm not talking about like a 1 second or half a second, there is none. So you will never miss a moment. And therefore, if you own a camera like a Sony A9, this is the perfect light for you. Or you own an A6300 or 6500, which can shoot 11 frames a second. There is just no other light in the world that can keep up. This can. So, it's 85% brighter than a Neo 1, even in continuous mode. We've gone from 120 LEDs to 192. And what that means specifically is 2,000 lux at 3 feet versus 1,077 lux at 3 feet of Neo 1. And as Jason and Simeon will tell you shortly, it really is incredibly bright. So even without the flash, this is a very, very bright light source and extremely useful. This was a shot Jason took with just one Neo. And you see in the eyes, you get that gorgeous round catch light that you don't get from a square flash or a square LED light. But you also get that phenomenal skin tones. You know, the Rotolight has a CRI of 96, a skin tone of 99, which is one of the highest of any light out there. And what it really means is that when you're taking a shot, you're going to get vibrant skin tones at the right color, and it's going to save you time in post-production trying to edit that. But that's not it. There's more. So we've teamed up with one of the iconic brands of the photography industry who we're delighted to have here today, Elinchrom. And we've actually integrated into Neo 2 a built-in Elinchrom Skyport high-speed sync flash receiver inside the light. And what that means is that it eliminates the need to buy a separate receiver, saving you that cost. But it also means that you have an ultra-reliable, totally consistent system that you can depend on. Often when you're using third-party triggers and receivers, you're never sure if they're going to fire, they're expensive, they're complicated. This is built in, and it works fantastically well. Now, Elinchrom, as they'll tell you, have, I believe, over 500,000 Skyport users out there. And so the incredible thing about this is if you already own an Elinchrom Skyport transmitter, you can use that with your Neo 2. And likewise, the new Neo 2 transmitter, so we're actually calling it the Rotolight high-speed sync transmitter, which has been optimized for us by Elinchrom, will trigger your Elinchrom Skyport device. It eliminates the need to buy lots of different proprietary triggers that are expensive, and it unifies it into one system to make it easier for you as a photographer. And that's what really this is all about. But we appreciate that people may not want necessarily the additional expense, or maybe they already own additional triggers and receivers, so we've not forgotten about that either. So what you'll find on the back of a Neo is that we actually have a 3.5mm flash sync socket on the back, so that if you would prefer to use your own triggers and receivers, you can. So things like Pixel Kings or Pocket Wizard, as long as it's high-speed sync capable and it has either a PC sync socket or a 3.5mm flash socket, it will work. That being said, what we've done with Skyport is not only integrate the flash receiver, we're actually able to do some very, very clever things. So if you're a video user, you also will benefit from this integration. You can wirelessly control the color temperature of your Neo using the Rotolight L-Incrom transmitter. You can wirelessly control the modeling light level, the brightness level, in both flash, but also in continuous mode. Now, if I was utilizing the special effects, let's say I was creating a 8 or 10 light fire or lightning setup on set. What I don't want to have to do is have to go around each light individually or have someone on the back of each light, so I go 3, 2, 1 action and have to click them all on at the same time. What I can now do with this also is trigger the special effects remotely from 200 meters or 656 feet. We were actually testing this in the office the other day. Through 2 brick walls, it fires every single time. Every time. And you can control, by the way, up to 10 lights in 4 groups. Now, for existing ANOVA and EOS owners, the question is going to be, how do I connect my lights to this great new system you have? Well, what we're actually going to do for you is we really appreciate your loyalty. And if you buy the Rotolight high-speed sync transmitter, we will give you the receiver free of charge. All you need to do is to go to rotolight.com/L-Incrom offer. And that doesn't matter if you're an existing EOS or ANOVA Pro owner or a future EOS or ANOVA Pro owner. And that way, if you were using both an EOS and a Neo 2 on a mixed lighting shoot, you can have one transmitter that will control all of your lights, which is a really, really great thing. This is another phenomenal shot Jason's taken with Neo 2. And the point with this kind of shot is where you're mixing natural light coming through the window and you've got a beautiful light. You want to be able to balance to that. If you're shooting that kind of shot with flash, you're going to get a bright white light that's going to wash out that gorgeous, slightly sepia orange tone you've got going in the shot there. You also get the very natural looking catch lights and beautiful skin tones. Now, one other great thing about Neo is that it's adjustable color temperature. But, and just think about this one for a second, it's in both flash and in continuous mode. So Neo 2 will flash at whatever color you want it to flash at. Never been done. There's no flash in the world where you can electronically change color. It means that if I'm shooting a gorgeous sunset scene by a beach and I've got a warm orange light onto my model's hair, what a flash is going to do is just wipe out that orange light and give me white light on the face. I could be shooting it at midday for all you would know in the result shot. What I want to do is match that warm orange ambient light to the other side of the model's face or the hair to create a natural balanced shot. And that's what this allows you to do. And it tells you the color temperature when you're doing it. Even with a lot of LED lights where you can change the color, there's just a dial on the back that says warm or cool. What does that mean? How do I white balance to that? What this allows you to do, if you know that number, is I can go into my camera and set a custom white balance and type that number in. And then I'm going to get a perfect shot first time. That's really, really useful as a feature. Now, I mentioned earlier the outscanning color accuracy that the Rotolights are famous for. CRI 96, but skin tone 99. Bearing in mind daylight is 100. So 99 for an artificial light source is as high as you can possibly get. It just means, again, you're going to get vibrant skin tones. You're not going to have any of those issues with green or magenta that you often can get with other lights. Now, for the video users out there, we've also added additional Cineas effects. So if any of you are ANOVA Pro owners or been looking at the ANOVA Pro, the ANOVA Pro has some great additional effects, things like gunshot effects, paparazzi for red carpet style effects, neon, which is like a flickering overhead light. We've added all of those great effects into the Neo. So Neo is a workhorse, portable, on-camera light with state-of-the-art special effects that are now wirelessly triggerable. Really, really great. 85,000 full power flashes on 6 AA batteries. Now again, let's put that into context. A typical speed light can do somewhere between 250 to 400 flashes before it is completely out of battery. Completely out of battery. The Neo 2 will do 85,000. On a Sony A9, we talked about that earlier, 20 frames a second. A typical speed light, if it could keep up, which by the way it can't, but if it could, it would be out of battery in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. You need, for modern cameras, these high frame rate cameras, a modern light source. And that is what the Neo 2 is. So really what we're saying with Neo 2 is that it combines the shoot what you see benefits of continuous light with the power of flash. It gives you the benefits of both, all in one very compact package. Now we're also really pleased today to announce a new partnership with PowerX. Having a light like a Neo, it requires a high performance battery. So Neo, you need to use either nickel metal hydride or lithium ion batteries. It's very, very demanding on its batteries. And we found in testing that the PowerX Pro delivers the best performance. It's the highest capacity, it's a 2700 milliamp hour battery. Typically you'd find there somewhere around 2000, and then the Loop Pro is 2500. It's a good battery, but this has a longer capacity. And we've also announced, if you look at the market, actually, you can only buy batteries at the moment in 4 or 8 packs, which is slightly irritating for a Neo needing 6 batteries. So PowerX have created for us a brand new pack, which is the Rotolight Lionheart AA battery, which is a unique 6-pack designed and optimized for Neo 2 that will be available to pre-order now also. So, one of the questions that we're going to get asked, I'm sure, is, well, hey, what are you going to do for me? I'm a Neo 1 customer. We really appreciate the loyalty of all of our customers, and so what we're also announcing today is a 20% discount if you are a Neo 1 owner. All you need to do simply is to purchase before 31st of December. We appreciate you might need a bit of time to save up, but this is a great Christmas present option for you if you are thinking about doing it. And simply go to rotolight.com/Neo2 upgrade. Now I know a lot of the people watching on Jason Lanier's stream are going to be based in the United States. We actually have a special offer for you guys, so keep a lookout for that on Jason's talk at 1 o'clock. But what I will say is that anyone taking the advantage of the offer will also get free shipping in the US, and there's no import tax. It ships from New York, so that's a really, really great offer. So 31st of December, 20% off. Now bear in mind, that's not just a single light. You'll also get 20% off the 3-light kit if you want to go for that option. But the other thing I would say is don't forget, your Neo 1 is now not obsolete. It is exactly the same LED in Neo 2 as it is in Neo 1. For an optimal lighting setup, as Jason will show you, you're going to want 2 or 3 lights. So a great situation would be to have a Neo 2 as your key light and have a Neo 1 as your fill and backlight. That would work fantastically well. And so that was really something to think about when you're planning your upgrade. I just want to put into context how revolutionary what we've announced today is. Now, just purely in terms of brightness, what this graph is showing you here is the brightness of on-camera LED lights. And we've not picked a random mix of lights. We've picked very big brand names that you can see there that are similar or even higher price point than Rotolight Neo 2, which, by the way, is exactly the same price as Rotolight Neo 1. So it remains $299 Inc. VAT, $399 or €337. So there you're getting all of this extra features, the extra power, the flash, the Cine SFX, and it's still the same price. But what does that mean? Neo 2 is the brightest on-camera light ever launched, period. And when you look at the prices of the other lights on that graph, you realize just how good in terms of the value for money. So actually we've done that calculation for you. So we've literally divided the lux output, which is brightness, by the dollars of the retail price, based this on B&H website as of today. By the way, all of these specifications are based on the manufacturer's advertised specs. This isn't our testing, this is their published specifications. Rotolight Neo 2 represents the best value for money of any continuous LED light on the market. Now, when you're bearing in mind, none of those lights can flash. None of them have special effects. None of them can be used in the same way this can for photo and video. We've also similarly done a portability. We've looked at the weight versus light output, because there's a continuous light when you're using it on location, it's a small light. weight is really a factor. So we've divided the light output by the weight of the product. It's not like Neo is tiny and not giving you a great amount of output. It's also the best performing in terms of weight and light output. So it's an incredible package all in one. And when you are doing stuff like this, another phenomenal shot from Jason in New York, weight matters. It's less stuff to carry. Things like the batteries, don't need as many spare batteries because of the incredible battery performance. It really is a very good value package. So just to summarize that into a graph, little table here for you. Rotolight Neo is the only natively wirelessly controllable on-camera LED light on the market. It's the only light with built-in special effects. The only LED light that's capable of high-speed sync flash. The only one that has design fade, so if you want to do an interview and have a custom fade up or fade down effect. It's also the only LED light that can do an f-stop calculation, and it has one of the best color renderings on the market. So not only is the CRI 96, but a skin tone 99. And it is the same price as Neo 1. It's an incredible value proposition, and we are extremely excited about it. So Neo 2, it's a small light that delivers big results. It's available to pre-order today. It's shipping end of September, so you don't have to wait very long at all. It's already in production, and we are, as I say, taking orders now. Just simply go to rotolight.com. What I'm going to do now is to hand over to Simon Whittle, who's the CEO of Elincrom. And he's going to give you an overview of why we're working with Elincrom. What is the technology? What's so special about Elincrom and Skyport? But otherwise, thank you very much for your time so far. And I'm going to hand over to Simon. Thank you. Cheers. Great.
Good morning, everyone. So, thank you, Rod, for the introduction. I'll start with a few words on who we are. So, we're founded in 1962, obviously not by me. We're a Swiss company, so we're based in Lausanne, on the Lake of Geneva. We're a lighting company, more on the photographic side of the spectrum, let's put it this way. We make our own lights, we make our own accessories, and we've also made our own radio communication protocol. So I'm going to quickly speak about Skyport. We introduced it in 2006, so it's about 10 years old, like Rotolight, so happy birthday, by the way. We started then because in photography there were only sync leads, you needed triggers, you needed sync cords, and you would trip over them. I mean, tripods are already annoying enough, but imagine sync leads. So we decided to make our own system based on 2.4 gigahertz, and it worked really well. It's been working really well, like half a million users, daily users. That's the big advantage of our system. We also have multiple benefits that Rod has kindly reminded already, but it's distant range up to 200 meters, 656 feet. We have reliability. Rod called us and said, hey, it works through 3 or 4 walls of concrete. So that was also good to know. In photography, if you miss a shot, the photographer will say, that was the picture I wanted to take. So it needs to work all the time. HSS, obviously today it's a must-need to be able to shoot at the 8,000th of a second. That's how Jason's going to make beautiful pictures of beautiful girls with beautiful landscapes behind him or behind her. And we have the compatibility, and I think that's something that, there are many radio trigger systems on the market. But we're the only system where you can control all your lights from the camera. We have a dedicated screen where you can see all the units that you have in your lighting setup. It's the only system compatible with light meters, either Sekonic or Gaussian. And again, you can control functionalities like light output or modern lamp power, which would be continuous light. It's also the only system, one of the only systems compatible with computers that you can control from your computer, be it Mac or PC. And we're going to very soon introduce also a compatibility with smartphones. So, when Rod contacted us a few months ago, we were really excited. We were really excited because we decided that we wanted to open Skyport to third parties. We found that there was too many people who wanted to keep their system for themselves, and we wanted customers to be able to use as many compatible products at the same time, even if they don't come from us. It's like if you had headphones and then you had a controller. You want everything to work on one system. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. So when they contacted us, we were thrilled. We were thrilled. We spoke with them, and very soon we just discovered that they had the same values as us. We're also a family business, and it's been a pleasure to work with the whole Rotolight team. It's a very interesting partnership or collaboration because they're coming from a different side of the market, maybe more video, we're more in the photography side, and we're learning things as we're going on, they're learning things as they're going on, and they've introduced already some features that are only for them. Like Rod said, we optimized our transmitter for them, and yes, we couldn't be more thrilled with this collaboration with Rotolight. So that's my part. I think today is about Rotolight more than about us. So thank you, Rod. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Well, next up we're going to have the man himself, Jason Lanier, if he is around. There he is. And Jason's going to give you a brief introduction and overview, a live demo to show you how would you really use this, what are the advantages, how's he used it, and what does he think of Neo 2. So let me introduce to you, please, Jason Lanier.
Can you guys, is the mic working? Yeah? What's up, guys?
What we're going to do, actually, Jason,
we're going to hug?
To start, we are going to hug.
Brothers don't shake hands, brothers got to hug.
We're going to introduce you actually in fine video form to the man himself.
So you're going to show me,
pre-recorded something.
I can watch me.
You can watch yourself.
Oh.
So I know you enjoy it.
I do it quite often. Yeah. All right, I'll just stand at the side.
Okay, perfect. If someone could kill the lights for us, please,
yep.
That would be fantastic. Great.
Hey guys, my name is Jason Lanier. I'm a Rotolight Master of Light and a Sony Artisan of Imagery, and I'm so excited today to introduce to you the Neo 2. The Neo 2 is going to revolutionize how people use lights, especially small lights. It does high-speed sync flash, guys. I know you guys have been asking about Neos, you've been asking when they're going to flash, and Rotolight has done it, which is amazing. Why is it a big deal that Rotolight's put a flash inside of a Neo? Quite frankly, for those who want something that fits just onto the hot shoe of their camera, it can replace your external flash. We've been testing this today with A6500 at 10-11 frames a second. We're firing 200 shots in RAW. It fires every time. There's no light loss, there's no power loss. The fact that it does that is just a game changer. Have you ever been at a wedding and you're shooting and the bride is crying, she's doing a dance, and then your flash doesn't go off? That is a heartbreaking moment because then you've missed that shot and there's absolutely no going back and replicating that. You can't do it. This enables you to make sure you never miss a shot, and that is amazing. It's significantly brighter than the original Neo. It's very, very bright, guys. I was very surprised at just the output on this light. That's amazing. The advantages of the Neo 2 over a traditional strobe are very simple. High-speed sync, no recycle time, constant lighting options, the ability to change your color temperature, the fact that it runs very cool, runs on 6 AA's, and it'll last you for, 3 hours. It's a very soft light. We can modify it very easily. It's pretty amazing when it comes to comparing this versus a traditional strobe. Rotolight has teamed up with Chrome to include their Skyport wireless flash receiver that's actually inside of the Neo, which is awesome as it means you don't need an external receiver, saving you time and money. When you use a traditional strobe, you are constantly battling the struggle of acquiring focus. Whereas with a constant light that's on, you can leave that constant light on, you can acquire focus, but then you can also strobe it when you need more power. The fact that I can use a light that does both is what is so unique about this. The Neo enables me to be able to get work done with a very, very small form factor. It's not intimidating. If you're doing baby portraits, you can just set it nicely on a bed. It's not a big light. It's really a dream come true for me as a photographer. I love these lights. Why do I love them? Because quite frankly, I've taken them everywhere. I've been in swimming pools with them. Now they're not waterproof, but you know, I've had them hanging off the sides of monopods. I've taken them into the forest. I've taken them to Ethiopia. I've taken them to Cuba. I've taken them all over the world for street photography, wedding photography, destination weddings. The Neo's a light that I could use for pretty much anything. A portraiture, macro work, really anything. And one thing that we always worry about as photographers is ways for us to get more creative with our lighting, and this enables me to be able to do that. It's just such a nice light, and now that it fires strobe and it's so much brighter, it's just going to make it even easier for me to use it. It's just such a great kit, and it's quite a bargain for a light that does so much. If you have those moments that you cannot miss, this is an incredible light for you.
Well, let's bring the man himself on stage.
So is my mic working? What's up, Fedora Nation? What's up, guys? And ladies. We don't want to forget the ladies. In fact, I always prefer to speak to ladies versus men. But no, guys, it's a pleasure to be with you guys today. It's an honor. You know, I sit there, all jokes aside, I sit there and watch something like that, and I think, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool that I'm in a position to be able to address you guys and talk about products that I love. Rod and Simon have already told you guys a lot about the specs and stuff. I don't need to regurgitate that to you guys. You guys have seen it all. What we live in is a day where we can demand more out of our camera companies. It's the reason I switched from Nikon to Sony. We can demand more, and we should demand more. We grew up in an era where we could wait 3 to 4 years before a camera would be updated, or we would wait years before lights were updated, or we'd be working on the same lights that our fathers or our mentors were using, and we just had to jimmy rig it, right? We just had to make it work. Well, when Sony came along and started really introducing things and pushing the market, it happened to be a time where I was changing too, and Rotolight came along at the same time where we partnered together. And so when Rod started asking me, you know, one thing that I always get is, being a Sony artisan and being a Rotolight Master of Light, one of the biggest benefits is being able to give input to the companies. Guys, this is what we need. This is what we want. And so I remember speaking specifically with Rod about these lights and the Neo and how much I love the Neo. But like he said, and like the other customers would state, part of the issues were we need it more powerful. And in a perfect world, it'd be awesome if it fired flash, right? If you guys have worked any sorts of event type photography, anything of that nature, which I've done 250, 300 some odd weddings. I haven't counted because I stopped shooting weddings a while ago. But flash is critical. What happens when you walk into these places, when you're shooting any sort of event photography, what does your camera do? That lens is hunting for focus. I don't care about the best, I don't care if you have the best focus assist systems in the world, and we've all seen the red lights on a white wedding gown, which are not very attractive. Being able to have one light source that does everything for me is fantastic. I would go through these weddings and I would put the Neo on top of my camera and I would fire. And that worked great when I'm indoors. When the ambient lighting is like this, it would work fantastic. But then I found myself going outside, and when I went outside, or when I just needed that pop of light, that's when I'd have to put my flash on. The other thing about flash, whenever you put flash on your camera, is you always have to mess around with how you're going to adjust the head, right, to get proper perspective. Just yesterday, I was running through the city with Maddie, and we did an entire shoot just based on the Neo being on camera. And the first thing that hit me, of course, was the fact that no matter how I point it, vertical or horizontal, or this is horizontal, this is vertical. No matter how I point it, the light was beautiful. I didn't have to adjust it, I didn't have to change it, I didn't have to do anything. That was a key thing for me. This is a shoot where I busted up my legs. we had a fun time shooting this one. But having that as an on-camera speed light was amazing. We shot all downtown through London. We shot in the underground. We shot in front of Big Ben. You know, we hit all the big spots, relatively speaking. And it was, I was really shocked at how well it did. Now, it's one thing that it fires flash, but guys, the no recycle time, I think the photographers watching this and the photographers in the room, you'll understand how important that no recycle time is. Because we do miss moments. We do. And when we miss those moments, what does it make you want to do? Cry. Exactly. What's up, baby? It does make you want to cry. And then you have to explain to your client that, you know, what do we do if the, guys, come on, you know, what do we do if the flash doesn't fire? What do we do with the shot? We flip it black and white. We increase the shadows. And then we say, look, it's film noir, right? That's what we do. We don't have to do that anymore. The excuses are over, and I think that's what's so important about what we're doing here. So we've spoken about kind of what it does on camera. Then off camera, again, looking at the market, looking at how things are trending and things are changing. We're used to now flash trigger systems that are relatively inexpensive, that can do off-camera flash, that can provide, that we can change the power output, the power ratios, everything right as we're going. We want to be able to do it, at least I know I do, and a lot of the photographers that I teach and watch me around the world, we want to be able to put those lights up and adjust the power ratios. We don't want to walk to them. That wastes time. We want to be able to change our power ratios right on our camera. So again, when Rotolight reached out to me, the first iteration of Rotolight jumping into the high-speed sync market was with the EOS, or with the Innova Pro. And we'd have to use our existing trigger systems. Now, that was great. That was the first great jump. But when they called me up and said, hey, dude, you're not going to believe it. We teamed up with Elechrome. I'm like, what? That's awesome. Then they teamed up with Elechrome, and then I said, well, please tell me you're going to be able to control it. And please, if all things are perfect, please tell me you're going to put that receiver inside of it. That's what we want. We want to have the receiver built in. Because a lot of the speed lights you see out there now, the receivers, they're all transceivers, right? They can send and receive. They can actually, you can do everything from that flash. So if we're going to compete, if we're going to provide an option for our customers, we have to do something that does that. So the fact that we can put that in there, I can change my neos and I can fire, is fantastic. The fact that I can change, and I used this a lot yesterday, the fact that I can change the white balance when I'm firing flash is huge. That's huge. Because we fired that flash, puts off that nice cold tone, right? Makes them look like they're walking through Siberia. And it totally puts off the color temperature from the rest of the shot. The fact that we can do that on camera is fantastic. But you guys have heard us talk a lot. We've been blabbing, especially me. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little bit. We're going to show you how these things work. So Maddie, come on up. Which one of these is mine? I think this is mine. Oh, it may help if I turn the transmitter on. Okay. So, for those watching, for those here live and watching at home, you're looking at this. This is an additional option. When you use the Neos, based with just the 6 AA's, it's 200% brighter when you fire in flash than when you fire in or just run it with a continuous LED. You can hook up this battery pack to it, or plug it into a wall, and then it turns into 500% brighter as a flash. So if you're a studio shooter, if you're something of that nature, that's where that's going to come into play. But for portability's sake, put it on her, not me. Okay. Go stand over there. Now, one thing, guys, You can go all the way back here. You don't have to be so close anymore. That was the Neo one. Okay, so one thing that we want to be able to do with our flash is we need distance. So this is another thing that I was testing yesterday. Yesterday I was in the graffiti tunnel down there in London, and we were shooting with this. And the fact that I could hold it, because like you guys saw in some of the production shots there, I'll put this onto the end of a monopod and I'll direct that light anywhere that I need to go. One of the comments I get from my followers a lot is the fact that it must be nice I have assistants and such, and it's awesome. But a lot of us don't. And I really go back to my days where I had nobody helping me. And those are the options we need as photographers. The fact that I can put this on a monopod, I can stretch it out, and I can make it a little Darren. I can stretch it out, and I get a flash every single time. It's awesome. Now the whole crowd is having epileptic seizures. That's crazy, guys. I think that was about 4,000 shots. All jokes aside, it was probably close to 500. But what other light in the world can do that? The answer is they can't. The fact that it works so seamlessly and the fact that I can get these shots, guys, is critical for me. There's nothing in the back. The receiver's built inside. Just use the Elechrome transmitter on top, receiver built into the Neo. I don't have to do anything else. The other thing, of course, that they mention is because photographers, we are cheap, right? We are. We love to spend money. We have the gas, gear acquisition syndrome. But we're always looking at, well, I already have a trigger system. I don't want to have to do something else. I don't want to have to buy this. I personally think you can't beat this because of the fact that you can adjust your power ratios and everything. You're not going to be able to do that with a regular PC Sync combo. So that's where I think the Elechrome is great. And I'll be honest with you again, I just as a photographer, I was really surprised they teamed up. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fantastic, a win-win for everybody involved. So I know that we're going to be doing a Q&A later on. I don't want to hog up all the time. I am a gift of gab, and Rod told me 15, 20 minutes, Jason, so we'll answer questions later. But I just wanted to show you guys this light and how great it is and what it can do, and the fact that it does provide so many options. Again, this is what I'll wrap up with. As photographers, we need stuff that works. We need stuff that delivers consistent results. I remember when I started shooting commercial photography, one of the first things they said to me is, people in commercial photography get paid because they deliver high-end quality, consistent results. And when your gear fails you, it's crippling. You can be the most talented artist or creator in the world, but if you don't have gear that works for you consistently, it's not going to work. And you're not going to be able to deliver results, and you're not going to get paid. And in the world of photography, the fact that we have a all-in-one option is truly, to me, it's liberating as a photographer. I can go from, like he said, all of my cameras do 4K video. And obviously I run a YouTube channel. The fact that I can go have one light on the top of my camera or on a monopod, and they're light. I can put them on a tripod, monopod, light stand, anything. The fact that I can put it there, it can roll video, and it'll roll 100% LED. Because some of you guys may be thinking, well, monolights will run a modeling lamp. Well, the modeling lamp is nothing compared to what these do with the LED. So being able to find my shot, get my shot, compose my shot with the LEDs, and if I need even more of a burst, I can do that. Last thing I'll leave you on is, when we talk about power with light, this is important for the photographers out there to watch and listen. When we talk about power, we're always, we look at these huge monolights that have 600 watt seconds, but what do we have to do to that light to make it pleasing? We have to cut it, right? So we take a big light, then we put a deflector plate, we'll put a baffle, we'll put a sock on it just to make that light pleasing. What I love about these LEDs is I shoot them just like that, the light's amazing. That's the big difference. So it's not about how big is your engine, it's how fast do you really need to go. I've always told people it's not about having the most amount of light, it's about having the right amount of light. So with that being said, I'll pass out on, am I passing to Simeon now? Thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the Q&A.
Great, well thanks very much guys. That was a really fantastic overview, Jason. Thanks very much of the benefits for photographers of Neo 2. What we're going to do now is introduce to you another Rotolight Master of Light, Simeon Quarry, who is a Canon ambassador. He's CEO of Avidia, and he produces some stunning work, which we're going to show later in his session. But Simeon's going to give you a good overview of the benefits for video, for filmmakers, and for interviews. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I guess it started off as a video light with a Neo light, and now we're looking at the Neo 2. But just to give you a bit of my background, I count myself as a photographer and also as a filmmaker. So for me, I need to earn money and make a living in any way that I can. I count myself as a creative storyteller, and stories, as a visual storyteller, I want to be able to do that as a photographer, and I want to be able to do that as a cinematographer or as a videographer. So the flexibility for me has been key. Now, we've had that for some time with cameras. We've now got into a situation where we can make one investment with a camera, and that camera has the ability to work with photo, and it has the ability to work with video. And now we get that benefit as well with lighting. So I have used a lot of light. I'm a Canon ambassador, but for my own business, for Vida, I use whatever lights do the job. And lights are all created differently, and they do different things. But I started to really fall in love with the Rotolights, and I'd also have to appreciate how much they've changed over a period of time. And now yes, I love the shape of them. Yeah, great, circular. But what is more important for me is the absolute flexibility. So when you are shooting with flash for photography, many of you know that you don't see anything until that magic moment happens and you take the shot. But I started to really enjoy working with continuous light for photography because it meant that I could see the light, but also my team can see the light. So you're looking at me now with, two, I think these EOS or ANOVAs. You're looking at me and you're benefiting from that light as well. Everyone's in a position to see it. And I started to move the team over for photography and also to video to working with continuous lights. But when you get a small light like this, so we can get this off, there are a number of things that you start to think about. There we go, this is my little trusty camera. Excellent. So when we look at this, it great, perfect, but very, very small. Very, very small typically means fairly low power. But that's not what we end up getting here. So I imagine that a number of you right now are not really appreciating me flaring this in your face, right? But look at the amount of brightness that's coming off that. So we know the stat 2,000 lux at 3 feet against the Neo 1, or Classic as I'm going to call it, which is 1,077. So this is almost twice as bright. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do? Because I tend to just go with the flow. Can I plug in a cable? And we're going to see if we can plug in a cable. And let's show you what I'm seeing. And let's do that. So my background originally came from weddings, but now what we do with Avida, we've kind of moved and we now start to work in more corporate and commercial work. So when it came to weddings, I needed absolute flexibility because things change all the time. Your white balance changes because you might go from indoors to outdoors, but more likely than not, you're in an indoor environment, but the light that's coming in through the windows is daylight, and it starts to affect the color. So you want that kind of flexibility there. You go from an environment that's quite bright, where you want to be able to fill in the shadows, to an environment that's very, very dark, where you need to really start to create, thank you very much, really start to create and shape the light. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to plug in this feed, and I'm going to start to show you what I see. This light is so blinding that I can't actually see. There we go. All right, there we are. Excellent. Perfect. All right. So you can give yourselves a wave. It's absolutely fine. There we are. Excellent. Excellent. All right. I'm going to now just put you in focus a little bit. Now, do you know something? Let's turn off the lights at the side, or turn them down a little bit. Thank you very much. Nice. Excellent. Now you can just see me a bit. Now, you can see me spinning this light round, but I'm able to see the entire room, and my ISO is actually really very, very low. So I can increase this up, and I'm in a position now where this is literally lighting you up. Now, I wish this is blown up to a huge screen, but can you see how much light you're getting? Right? And even in the back rows, right? I'm not on a zoom. All right, there we go. Hey, how you doing? And I'm going to just increase my exposure a little bit. Okay, so we now are in a situation where I'm lighting the back of the room with an absolutely tiny, very, very small light. Thank you very much. Let's turn these lights back up a little bit for us as well. Because actually, in a lot of situations, what you tend to get is you get situations where you have got light, and you can't control these other lights, right? Because you move into an environment. So I'm going to get, India, can I get you to come up? Thank you very much. Now I don't do so much wedding work, but we've moved from weddings, but using those same skills and principles of visual storytelling to start to work more in the corporate commercial world. So a lot of what I do ends up being, it could be interviews, it could be B-roll, which is the additional footage that makes the corporate interviews a little bit more sexy and interesting. So I'm going to, let's start to have a bit of a play. I'm going to, now, can I have you just stand here for me? Perfect. Come a bit closer for me. Nice. Okay, excellent. Right, now, I'm a bit too bright. I'm not used to that with a front light. Okay. And I'm in a position where I can control, because of the power coming out of the Neo 2, I'm able to control how much of the ambient I want to use. At the moment, I'm turned at 100%. What this actually means, and I'm going to get you just to stand here for me. All right. I can control and make sure that this, you guys in the background, is very, very dark. But if I was to turn this down, now, I'm going to now compensate by changing up my settings. And I'm able to balance out the environment. Yeah? So this has given me that level of flexibility where I'm able to work with the lights that are in the room. I'm able to complement it because the light, yes, it goes 100%. And when it does, we've got that crazy figure of 2,000 lux at 3 foot. However, most of the time what I'm also looking to do is I'm looking to have some creative control and start to be able to shape and start to play with the light. In fact, let me just, because it's a new baby light, I wanted to make sure I screwed this on really tightly, but I'm going to now, let's use another light. Okay, I'm going to work with this baby. Yes. Okay. And I am going to brighten you up, and I'm going to actually turn this one off. Okay, yes, excellent. You see how much light is there? I'm at 50% at the moment, 50%. If I go to 100 with the settings that I've now got, way too bright. So I'm going to drop down my ISO, and I'm at ISO 400, but look at the distance that the light is from the subject. And what I'm going to do, because I know everyone's in a position, can I get you to stand just here? And that way we can see, lovely, excellent, all right. I'm going to just bring this light up just slightly. Beautiful. And let me show you what I'm seeing. Beautiful. Excellent. Oh, all right, I'm really happy with that already. Now that's at 100%, but the key thing for me is having that flexibility to be able to also change the color and change the white balance. So now I'm at 6,300, so I'm very, very cool. Right? Because we might be wanting to balance outdoor light that's coming in. But then when you look at lights like the ones you can just see on the edge, they're a lot warmer. Yeah? It tends to be, and these ones up here, warmer lights. So I can now have the ability to shift that so that that light, creative control, right? And I'm able to shift it and shape the light. Now, this battery pack, I don't really need it. I could just unplug it and run on the 6 on the inside. And then at full power, it's just going to keep going on and on. And because the lights are very small, I am in a position, if I needed to, actually, I could roll the camera and I could have you talking to me and I could do an interview with this on the stand or from above and I could just keep going. Hi, introduce yourself. What's your name?
Hi, I'm India.
Excellent. And tell me, what do you do?
I'm an actor.
Excellent. Okay, good. So we're looking forward to testing that later on. Give me an idea of the type of thing that you really like to, the roles you really like to play.
The roles I really like to do, I love sci-fi, love sort of the action roles, things like that.
Nice. Okay. All right. So now I'm thinking we know sci-fi. We heard that right. Action roles. So why not? Let's just have a little bit of fun. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can dig into my tools. So inside my Neo 2, I got a couple of packs here. So I had the color effects filter pack, and then I've also got some sort of creative options here and also correction. So I've got one light there, one light there. Let me just see if I turn this one on. And I'm now starting to just think creatively because I've got options. Now, for me, one of the things that I used, I did a shoot for His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales Trust, the business in the community. And we had to create and tell a story which was about a number of businesses going through emergency situations. So what I needed to do is I needed to be able to have a shot that had fire. I needed to have another shot that had police, as if the police were coming past. I needed another one where it was a TV. I would either had to have got the police to come to my shoot, which I did not have the money to do, or I would have needed to have rented in a special effects box. So you get a special effects box, you plug your lights into it with the right type of cables, and then you can start to change the way that the light works. But with these, we're in a position to do that straight away ourselves. So at the moment, I'm going to just turn it up, press both buttons. I'm going to go to special effects, and in here, I had one that was lightning. Yeah? Because I had a lightning flash. I had the sound effects over the top of the rain, and then we literally were in a position to have the lightning start running. I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to choose another special effect. I've got fire, police. I don't know why, but I thought police when I saw you. Don't take offense. All right, so I'm going to get this up a little bit higher. And then the great thing is now I'm looking at these creative options here, and I'm going to teal, no. Now, for this means a lot to me, right? Because as a visual storyteller, when we're telling stories, I want the light, but to be able to have the light, but then also get the additional elements that we need in order to start to have fun and start to create and tell a story is even more awesome. And so what I'm able to do is take off the front, put it in the gel, and then rotate in. And then I just accidentally press the button. There we go. And let's do that. Special effect. Let's do police. I like it. And now all of a sudden, can you see that I'm starting to shape the shot and have creative control? But I'm doing that not with a normal accessory pack that you might typically need, but I'm doing that with exactly the same light. This one is the same as that one, and it's the same as the one that's on my camera. So now when I start to, there we go, put this on the end, I'm going to turn this one down. I'm getting carried away because what I'm essentially doing is I'm mixing, right? Excellent. I'm going to just turn this down a little bit. Yeah. And the other light that's having an effect is that one. Could you switch that one off for me? Thank you very much. There we go. And now we could keep adding. So I could add another one now that would be fire. So the key thing for me is that we have to either have the ability to document things on the go. It could be that you work in a fast-paced environment like a wedding. It could be that the area and environment that you tell visual stories in is kind of high-paced, action-packed. Having the light on the camera, but having the ability to turn it up really bright so that the reach was either as close as we saw it or as far as we saw it, or start to really craft the stories, whether it be for an interview situation or whether it be for something that's more creative like this, makes a difference for me. And knowing that I can go from small lights to ones that are bigger gives people like myself the flexibility. And it gives us the flexibility as photographers, but also as filmmakers as well. Thank you very much, India. Appreciate that. Thank you. So I think that's really the final thought that I'll leave you with. It's the ability to have flexibility that enables an operator and a user like me to have creative fun and to enjoy, whether that be with photography or whether that be with video. At least with something like this, you have the absolute freedom. Please. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Simeon. That was a fantastic demonstration of all the benefits for filmmakers and videographers. I've seen a few questions on the live stream coming up, so just worth refreshing people. So the question firstly was, what is the price of a Neo 2? So a Neo 2 is exactly the same price the Neo 1 was. So it's $299 Inc. VAT, which is $399 and 337 euros. Now, if you are watching from Jason Lanier's followers, you'll be familiar that we have a discount with Jason. Jason's going to be announcing at 1 p.m. today a very special offer for the Jason Lanier followers, so keep posted for that. We also have a 3-light kit available, which is pounds $13.75 and $15.99, and that comes with 3 lights, 3 stands, a case, filters, ball heads. It's a really fantastic kit. So to everyone here, we really appreciate your time coming today for what for us has been a really exciting product launch. We truly believe this is a product that's going to change the industry and fundamentally provides photographers with a new way of working with light, with increased flexibility and a whole host of creative options for both stills, video, continuous light, and flash. We are going to see if there's any more questions from the live stream. I don't know if we've got any of those questions here. But if not, for all of the press in the room, we have a press kit for you on a USB stick to take away. And Jason and Simeon and myself, Simon, are all available. So perhaps we could see if there's any questions in the room. And Simon and everyone can join me on stage if there are any questions you want to put to Jason, Simon, myself, or Simeon. Please put your hands up, and we'll put you on a mic so the live stream can hear the questions. Any questions to start with? Covered everything extensively. Oh, Yurek's got a question. Here we go. Let's get a mic over here. If we could get the mic, that'd be fantastic. Yep, that's good. Perfect.
Rod, first of all, congratulations. I'm really impressed.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for the invitation.
Well, my pleasure.
Okay, I won't classify myself as an accomplished photographer, but I've got a Nikon camera, a digital SLR.
Yep.
I've had it for a number of years. Can I retrofit the Neo 2? In other words, can I just attach it, plug it in, and am I away and using? Because that's what I'd like to do straight away, because I do a lot of photography of family pictures, and I get a lot of problems with lighting.
Well, that's a very common problem, and thanks very much for the question. That's a great question. So the answer is yes, you can. It's extremely simple. So the Neo comes with a provided shoe. So it will go onto any camera shoe, can be Nikon, Sony, as long as there's the new Sony Alpha, not the old Minolta, that requires a little adapter. But if it's any of the current generation, Sony, Canon, Olympus, Panasonic, you literally can put it straight onto the camera. Now, there's a couple of different things. One is if you want to fire the flash, 2 options. We have a new accessory, which is a flash shoe. So it will actually, if your camera doesn't have a PC sync socket or a 3.5mm flash output, not all cameras do, you can put the flash shoe on the top, and it will give you a PC sync socket, so you then can plug a cable into your Neo and just use it on top of your camera as a flash all day long. Alternatively, the best results are going to be with the L-Chrom triggering, of course. So we have a new Rotolight high-speed sync transmitter, which has been optimized for us by L-Chrom. That's available on rotolight.com, and that will allow you to take the Neo off camera. Often when you're shooting your portraits, it's more advantageous to have the light off the camera, so you can get the lighting's very flat otherwise. If the light's straight on the side, these guys can tell you a bit more about that. Do you want perhaps give a little bit more advice to someone about taking light on or off camera for portraits?
Well, I think we all know that on-camera flash. Even when I shot yesterday, I can already hear the comments on YouTube. Oh, it's flat light. Of course, the light right on top of the camera is more flat than if you take it off camera and you work with Rembrandt or portrait or profile lighting. But I think it's a matter of knowing when you need what. But yeah, man, you can just plug your right PC sync cable right into your Nikon and you'll be off to the races. But the off-camera flash option with the Elechrome triggers, truly, it's a godsend. I mean, being able to do that is awesome, and control up to 10 of them, adjust the power ratios and the color. We can adjust power ratios with our speed lights when we put them off camera. We can't adjust the color temperature. That's a big deal.
And Rotolight has a transmitter for your Nikon camera, so you're all set.
Yep. Terrific. There you go. Absolutely. Well, thanks very much for that.
From the live stream.
Okay.
Jonathan Marks, what is the expected lifetime of the LEDs of Neo 2?
Very good question. So typically with on-camera lights, you might find that ranges anywhere between 25,000 hours to 50,000 hours. With the Rotolight LEDs, typically, by the way, what is placing the most stress on an LED is the heat. A lot of the LEDs, you'll find they trap the heat above the LED, and as a result, it degrades. So what you'll see is that the color temperature actually degrades. The actual CRI, the color rendering, worsens over time. With all of the Rotolight products, indeed with the Neo 2, there isn't a fan built in, which is great for video because it's annoying hearing that sound, but there's extensive venting both on the front, and also you can't even see them, but slight micro holes on the front which allow the LEDs to breathe. And as a result of that, we get 100,000 hours use. Now, to put that into context, you would have to use the Neo 24/7 for 7 years continuously to burn out those LEDs. So it's going to last.
I've used them for years, and I've never, even when I've dropped them, done some really stupid stuff with them, I've never had one go out, not one. So to me, that's the biggest testament, is I've used these for now 4 or 5 years all over the world, and I've never had a single LED go out.
And it's worth re-emphasizing that it tends to be most of these types of lights on the market would be made in the Far East, and things can go wrong with them. This is completely British made, so everything from the plastics to the electronics is assembled in the UK. And that really does give the product a superior build quality, and it's one that you can trust and you know is going to deliver for you.
I'm here, Nigel Atherton from Amateur Photographer magazine. I'm already thinking that, is it on? Okay,
Yep.
I'm already thinking that one of the benefits of the Neo 2 that you haven't touched upon is the red eye issue with flash in dark rooms, and people's pupils are brightly dilated, and then the flash bounces off and you get the red eye. And if you have a continuous light on your flash and you have the continuous light on, your subjects are not going to get red eye.
Absolutely. One thing I'm going to address when I do the 1 p.m. workshop is exactly that. I think the other thing to note on that point is that flash can be very intrusive. When you're walking around, and when I've shot weddings and stuff, and you go into a room and you fire that flash, you're constantly reminding people you're there. When you have that LED that's on, they grow very accustomed to the LED being on, and it actually changes the way they act in front of you when you're shooting. So if you just need to pop a little bit more flash, it's available to you if you need that power. But you're absolutely right. People ask me about this stuff all the time, and I've told them, I don't know, I did shoot speedlights for a while, but then I've shot the Neos at my events and stuff for the longest time, and it does. I don't have red eye. It's really reduced that. And even when I've shot macro work or stuff like with animals, I was in Honduras and I shot the macaws at the ruins at Copan. I was able to use the LEDs and they weren't flying away. If I had done flash, they fly away. I did a horse shoot, a senior, and I almost got sued because I fired a flash and the horse bucked and the girl almost fell off. If I'm using LEDs, I don't have that issue. So for all those reasons, yeah, it's a big plus.
And that really is a point worth re-emphasizing. If you're someone who shoots things like baby portraits and a lot of wildlife, being able to just in 2 seconds flick between the world's brightest continuous light, or if you are in a situation where you can utilize the flash and flash in one product, is such a big advantage. That flexibility is unparalleled.
And I think it's also the fact that you can really start to easily shape the light because you can see it. So it becomes like cooking and tasting as you go. You can turn it up a bit, change the color, and then if you want to go even more creative, then you can start to add those other you know, those other gels as well. So in a way, what you do is you almost create a little mini scene and a little set, and it stays like that. Even if you are on, you know, on a wedding event, I've done the same thing. Is you end up flash you know, lights in the corner, and every time you take a picture, everyone is totally aware that an image has been taken. And then what I ended up doing instead, I went to natural light. But now what I do is I literally place one in the corner, you know, and one closer to the camera, and then you've created your environment, and then you're good to go all the way through.
One of the questions I've seen on the live stream maybe we could address is people are asking what modifiers are available, or do you have to modify this as much as you do with the flash?
Yeah.
And you know, from our side, what I'll just say briefly is, you know, what we're known for as Rotolight is being a very soft light source. You can use this light much closer than you would typically with a flash, which is very hard light. But let me pass over to the photographers in the room to answer that.
Being able to use this light, and the shoot that we did yesterday with Maddie all over London was completely undiffused. I didn't even put it does have a Shamir softbox, which is fantastic. If you're doing closer look, that will definitely soften the light. It'll also really reduce the shadow that's coming across the nose if it's placed, you know, 90 degrees off from you, which is very, very nice. But it's already very soft light, which is what I love. So even on camera, it's a much better option. I mean, what do we do with our flashes? We drop the wide angle diffuser in the front to cut the light. Then we angle it up. If you think about the thought process that we have with dealing with flash, we're constantly trying to figure out how to get rid of so much of that light, which is kind of funny to me, because we put that speed light on. We never shoot it at 90 degrees because of red eye. We never shoot it because it's very unflattering, and we're constantly trying to work that light so it actually becomes pleasing. So when people quote guide numbers and they quote power ratios, it's really irrelevant because it's not good light. We should be quoting, we should have numbers off of good light versus off of just total light. And when you look at the Rotolight, that's the biggest difference. You know, again, the shoot we did with Maddie was completely undiffused. All the shoots I've done have pretty much been undiffused. This is a tremendous option if you're trying to channel the light. One option I like for this is you take this, you take off the diffuser in the front, and then it will just help to contain the light if you need to contain it more and direct it. But and I've been working on some options to see what's out there, because you know, us as photographers are always looking for flash modifiers. So I've bought some stuff off online to see what you can kind of jimmy rig with this as well. But I guess the bottom line is you don't need that many modifiers, and that's a huge benefit.
So just to clarify for people watching the live stream, the Neo 2 actually comes as standard with 2 diffusers. So you get a full, which is a 1.5 stop pure white diffusion, which is great if you're taking portraits and you just want to really even further soften the light. You get a 3/4 stop diffuser, which is a similar thing but just less aggressive. You get a great filter, which is really, really nice, called a 184. It's a cosmetic peach. And it's actually a skin tone enhancement. So it both diffuses, but it also adds a bit of warmth to the skin tone at the same time. And that's all included free of charge. So as Jason's saying, he's shooting undiffused. If you want to soften the light even further, you have that free of charge. So for a lot of people, we'd say is use that first. Find out if you need this. If you do want a softbox, it's a great option.
I mean, one thing I would add is I do like large light sources. So large light sources create, you know, a very soft light. So you look at something like this without the softbox and you go, well, it's small. But because with the Neo 2, the amount of light has been greatly increased, it now gives me the option of bouncing that light off, you know, a piece of through diffusion paper, or bounce it off a piece of white card. And then all of a sudden, I have that flexibility of having the large light source. So the increase in the power output gives me and other photographers or filmmakers those options of having larger light sources without having to do too much work.
That's right, and you can also see right here on the Neo, we've got a stand here that this barn door is available for the light. That's really effective if you want to really channel the light down into letterbox style and just pick out a highlight on a subject. That's nice too.
And like Simeon just said, is too, if you guys have watched my videos, the EOS, I have a 2-stop diffuser it's large. It's probably this tall and this wide. And it completely just makes the light coming out of the EOS and the Nova Pro just phenomenal. To his point, the Neo 2 is so much brighter, and now have that option with the Neo 2 as well. So if you really want to just create a larger light source and create more soft light, the diffusers are out there. I think that, again, the issue before was the Neo wasn't large and wasn't powerful enough to justify that. So, makes a big difference.
We've got loads of questions coming in from the live stream. Another one for Simon from Ellencrom. Should you update your existing Skyport to get it working with the Rotolight Neo?
No, it works. There'll be a firmware update to visualize the unit on the transmitter, but otherwise it works out of the box.
And that firmware update, we should say, will be available from Ellencrom's website in the support section. So, yeah, out of the box it's going to work, but it just gives you a bit of extra, gives you the name of Neo. You can see and have a little bit more control. Absolutely. Yep. But your existing Ellencrom transmitter will work beautifully with the Neo.
Okay, and one for Simeon and Jason. We've got Jonathan Marks here, who has a friend who's going to be shooting in the Arctic Circle. Have you got any advice for shooting below 25 degrees Celsius?
Wear a parka.
For the lights and the temperature there.
Don't get frostbite.
I guess, sure, it's going to be a very, very bright environment. So I think the great thing is when you work in close proximity to the light, look out for that ability to use the light to create a really nice fill light to fill in those shadows. Because light is bouncing around, having an additional light source will just help to create that type of sort of nice fill. Also, because the batteries on these have got such a good run time, what does happen when you go into a cold environment, your batteries naturally don't last for as long. So because these have got a much longer run time than, say, the Neo 1, then it means that it's going to last longer in those really aggressive and cold climates.
And to that end, all jokes aside, to that end, piggybacking off of what he said, when you're running this light and you're in an environment like that, turn the LED off, because if it's that bright, you're going to need the flash anyways. If you turn that LED off, you're going to really conserve batteries. And what's the 85,000 flashes off of one set of batteries? And you're going to need that amount of light anyway if you're in somewhere like the Arctic Circle.
Great, thank you. And a lot of people are asking, is it powerful enough to shoot in daylight?
Direct sunlight, you would need something like the EOS. But in more cloud, like yesterday when we shot, it was overcast. And we shot outdoors with it all day.
He means for the UK it's okay.
Right. Yeah, anywhere in Ireland or the UK or Scotland is perfect. No, but that's one thing that I wanted to test too, because even though I work so much with Rotolight, I have to answer to you guys and I have to answer to my followers, and I want to make sure that I'm giving real answers. So, directly overpowering the sun, if it's close enough, it will, but yeah, that's how it works. It's great.
It's worth bearing in mind as well, a lot of speed lights, by the time you've modified them, are going to also struggle outside as well.
Well, because that's what photographers will say. Well, the speed light can. Yeah, but how does the light look?
Yeah, and what color temperature is the light?
What does the light look? So yes, you take a speed light and you put it next to Simeon's face and you fire at a 90-degree angle. Yes, it lights, but it's horrible light. If they aren't shots you'd use anyway. So that's what I always try to tell people. When you're looking at light, we should be measuring off of the quality of light, not off of how powerful it is.
One of the other questions we just got on the live stream was, what's the color temperature range? What can I adjust? The answer is you can change it from 3150, which is tungsten, a warm orange light, all the way to 6300, which is the more overcast, slightly bluer, cloudier day. What you'll find with a lot of on-camera lights is the range is somewhere between typically 3000 and 5.6. 5600, great if it's bright and sunny, but not very good if it's overcast, because you want something slightly bluer. So having that range of color, but also having the display is really critical, so you know what the white balance is essential.
And I use that all the time.
Yeah, and particularly when you start to mix lights, being able to dial in and go, right, I know exactly what Kelvin you're at, not just because of setting it on the camera, but because you might be wanting to set up more than one light. It means that you can start to have very kind of scientific control of the way the light looks.
And it's really worth emphasizing as well, even the lights that do have displays, you can find that they're often 200 or 300 Kelvin away from the color that they actually should be. This is completely accurate, so you know if you set it to 5600 is going to be 5600, which does make a big difference.
A lot of people are asking what the watt-seconds equivalent is of the light. I know that's a difficult comparison.
I'd probably, if I could guess, it'd probably be about 200. That'd be my guess.
Any other questions in the room? No? Anything else on the live stream that's any burning questions people have?
I think we've covered most of it for now.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. Well, that just leads me to say a big thank you to everyone on the stage, to Simon from Elincrom, to Jason and Simeon, and of course to all of you for coming today for this event, which is a really special event for us. If you go to rotolight.com, the Neo will be up very shortly and order today. And likewise, we'll be announcing a very special offer for Jason's followers at 1 p.m. on his stream.
Yeah, guys, just so you guys know, 1 o'clock for my followers, we're going to be doing you're going to get a free workshop live stream, and Rotolight helped set that up, so thank you.
At 1 o'clock London time.
London time.
Simeon.
Which is in an hour and a half from now.
Right. Simeon's going to be on at 3 o'clock also doing a video lighting masterclass. That's going to be on Rotolight's Facebook channel, so keep posted for that as well. Otherwise, thank you very much, guys, and please grab the press kit on the USB key. And if you want to do any one-on-one interviews with Jason, Simeon, Simon, myself, or take any photos or any unique things for your piece, please come and grab them. Otherwise, thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.